Let's speak now to Laurie Wastell, Associate Editor of the Daily Sceptic. And sceptic indeed I am about what she is saying. So, for instance, included in her speech is they're going to scrap the duty to support, which requires financial and accommodation assistance to be given to asylum seekers who'd otherwise be destitute. Help will not be offered to those with a right to work, anyone who's made themselves destitute, or people who break the law, including by working illegally. Now, that sounds good. I agree with that. I think brilliant. Why should we be helping these people? But if we don't deport them, we're going to end up with those blooming camp cities like they have in Ireland, like they have in America, like we're starting to see already. Where's the plan?
Quite well, it is a good point you raise, Alex. I mean, I think this change does sound like a major measure, and that is a lot of what Shabana Mahmood has been going for repeatedly with many of the changes that she's bringing in. But yes, the devil is always in the details. So this one is actually an EU asylum law that we brought onto our own statute book in 2005. So one question is, which we get into more later if we like, is the Labour politics of it. Will her MPs let her actually implement these changes, because it will require a change in the law, but also that duty that is enshrined there with this particular bit of EU law to not allow asylum seekers to go destitute is one of the duties we have. But local councils, for instance, have other duties, simply to house the homeless or and other things like that. Which will still apply most of the time. So there's a strong rhetoric that we're seeing on measures like this may not actually be matched by the reality, which is that, and as you say, there's the question of whether we're supporting them, but there's also the much more important question of whether they're in the country at all. And in many ways, yes, we don't like having to pay out money to people being in hotels, but at least we know where they are. And if they're just roaming around the streets, perhaps working illegally, or perhaps, we have no idea where they are at all, and they could be menacing members of the community.
Well, I mean, that's it. They just shouldn't be in the country. We want to hear about how they're going to get people out of the country, how they're going to stop people coming into the country in the first place. I find this bit a bit rich. She's sort of pushing back against the Greens, who are absolute psychopaths. Oh, they just don't want borders at all. In fact, they want anyone who wants to come to Britain to automatically get immediate medical care, immediately get a house, immediately get financial support, whoever they are. And she's hit back against Zach Polanski. OK, good, because he's a nutter. A party leader who seeks the highest office in the land should not be on the beaches of France helping migrants cross onto small boats. But I have this memory of a picture circling social media of basically Shabana Mahmood doing essentially that.
Indeed, and I think the other famous one is obviously her predecessor as Home Secretary, Yvette Cooper, with that famous refugees welcome banner. And likewise, I mean, there have been lots of about turns that Labour have been really forced to make on these issues. I think, to give her credit, I think Shabana Mahmood does actually want to get some of this stuff done. It's true that, as I've said, she sort of leads with the most flashy elements of it, which can be a little misleading as to how effective it might be. But the fact is that the bulk of the Labour Party are going to be very resistant to a lot of this. I mean, we've seen the fact that Morgan McSweeney, of course, Keir Starmer's former chief of staff, has now been defenestrated. This was for a number of reasons, of course, mostly over Mandelson, but also because a lot of people in the party didn't like the fact that he had the aim, at least, of positioning Labour more to the right, and the grassroots of the Labour Parliamentary Party did not like this at all. That's one signal that they're going to find it much more difficult now to get any of this agenda across. And of course, Shabana Mahmood herself had been a long-term ally of Morgan McSweeney, so now she will be finding herself a little bit more isolated.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing. It's almost not worth listening to what she has to say, because it won't go far enough and it won't be supported by her backbenchers, so we may as well just not bother. But what she has said as part of her slate of initiatives is that migrants will have to speak English to A-level standard before they can settle permanently in Britain. How about they have to just be able to speak English fluently?
Well, quite. It's a strange sort of nitpicking standard there. I think some people have tried to claim that that's very stringent, because I think confusing the idea and thinking that it means you have to have sort of an A level in English literature. That's not what that is. This is quite basic, actually. And yes, of course, we should have some kind of sound, whether it's A level or something higher. But yeah, fluency would be a good one too. But again, I think many of these changes, people, your viewers will be asking, why didn't we have that before? I mean, why were we giving citizenship to people who couldn't speak English in the first place? Why, for instance, in Gorton and Denton, as Matt Goodwin has been detailing recently, did he go to so many constituencies where people, or parts of the constituency rather, where people simply didn't speak English. And that's one factor in the way that vote went. But I think a lot of people will be asking why there's so many communities up and down our country in which English is not spoken well, and is this to the benefit of the British taxpayer and the British state more broadly?
What do you think she should be saying? What sort of things should be immediately put in place? Because we know we're facing a migration crisis. We know our porous borders are also a security threat to this country. We know society is balkanised and divided because people haven't integrated. Where should she be beginning?
Well, some of the measures that she has been at least announcing do sound promising. I mean, one of them is this pledge to completely restrict student visas for countries including Afghanistan, Cameroon, and two others, which are basically war-torn countries in which that loophole essentially has been abused for many years. The idea that you would come over on a student visa, supposedly you're the brightest and best in the world, and then would claim asylum and be that burden on the state. So it's right to be cracking down on those. But as ever, she's sort of dipping her toe in, but not really going the whole way, because in fact, the countries that are abusing that system the most, the main perpetrator here is Pakistan. That's about 5,000 people on student visas last year alone applied for asylum from Pakistan, and there are several other countries that might be thought of there. Likewise, we know that in particular the Somali community in Britain, whether that's coming on an unskilled visa or through potentially the student visa as well, have very negative outcomes in terms of requiring welfare assistance, for instance, and potentially claiming asylum too. And again, the question has to be asked, is this to the benefit of the British taxpayer? Is this the kind of migration that we want to be seeing? I think the vast majority of the public would be saying no. But so there's an unwillingness to look at the hard cases here, and rather just to sort of say, well, we're going to take a few measures and sort of see how that lands.
Laurie, fantastic catching up with you, as always. Associate Editor there of the Daily Sceptic, Laurie Wastell.